What is gang stalking? Organized-Stalking is a secret, illegal, long-term, unconstitutional surveillance program of the U.S. government designed to destroy a targeted individual emotionally and psychologically. We're talking about a takedown program sponsored by law enforcement. The targeted individual is constantly harassed in an organized fashion by a group of corrupt civilians that are recruited by the police. The perpetrators, or citizens on patrol, they are brainwashed into believing that the isolated target is a horrible person, meaning a threat to society, a criminal. After years of unjust, systematic, methodical abuse, the traumatized, isolated target experiences a nervous breakdown. The target ends up in a psychiatric institution or incarcerated. Some targeted individuals even go as far as committing suicide in order to end the covert harassment. Now, what kind of person becomes a victim of organized stalking? Well, that is not easy to explain since there are different types of targeted individuals, and there are different levels of gang stalking too. But usually, a targeted individual is something like a whistleblower. A person that said something or did something that made somebody upset, meaning a big fish. So a person who has a lot of political influence, a lot of power. In other words, a person that has the capability to pull the strings in order to destroy somebody's life. So now the gang stalking phenomenon, how does it work in practical terms? Alright, let's go ahead and look into the case of police officer James Cray. Mr. James Cray is a 37-year-old police officer from Davie, Florida, who was arrested in January 2018 for extortion. Basically, he was blackmailing his 22-year-old girlfriend, Brittany Assam, who also happens to be a police officer in Davie. After a nasty breakup, he was pretty much forcing her to resign from the police department. He was forcing her to throw her career in the garbage. And he was threatening her, that he was going to release nude photos of her, photos from their intimate relationship. We're talking about revenge porn. And basically, Mr. James Cray was arrested in January 2018, and he faces up to 15 years in prison. We're talking about extortion, blackmail. Now, it is interesting, he sent Brittany Assam a text message saying the following. One of his threats to her. You're going to have to leave Broward County, sweetheart. Anywhere you go, I have people. What does it mean that anywhere she goes, he has people? Well, he's basically talking about government affiliated individuals that have the capability to make her life impossible. People in positions of authority we're talking about here. So basically what we have here is Mr. James Cray threatening his ex-girlfriend with some type of secret operation, meaning covert harassment. Anywhere you go, I have people. This sounds to me like the gang stalking program. He has people everywhere. What he means by that is, he friends with police officers, in every police department imaginable in Florida. He's friends with people in Homeland Security. He's friends with people in the FBI. He's friends with attorneys. He's friends with psychiatrists. He's friends with people that work in the post office. He's friends with businessmen. He's friends with academic deans and universities. And of course, all these police officers, they know thugs, delinquents, people who traffic drugs, all that shit. So here we have it, a police officer, threatening his ex-girlfriend, who is also a police officer, with covert harassment, So this is a very interesting case because it gives you a rock solid idea of who is behind this whole gang stalking shit, who is behind this secret program that is designed to destroy a targeted individual emotionally and psychologically. This gives you a clear and transparent idea of what kind of people are behind this program, For those of you who say, oh, there's no such thing as gang stalking, there's no such thing as covert harassment, you know, go ahead and check the case of police officer Donna Jane Watts. On October 2011, the Florida Highway Patrol officer Donna Jane Watts, she arrested an off-duty cop in Broward County, a guy named Fausto Lopez. The police officer, he was speeding on the highway 120 miles per hour, and he led Donna on a chase. So she arrested him. She didn't give him a break. And as a result, the officer Fausto Lopez, he lost his job. Now, this confrontation had monumental consequences for Donna. She never imagined, the outcome of arresting, that police officer, Fausto Lopez. Basically, to make a long story short, Donna realized that she was being unjustly and systematically harassed in an organized fashion 24/7 everywhere she would go. And, and it was obvious that somebody who was very powerful, was behind this secret operation. It was obvious that law enforcement was behind this secret operation designed to destroy her emotionally and psychologically. She was being covertly harassed 24/7 anywhere she would go. And this was pretty much, revenge. A revenge for arresting, like saying, oh, so you arrested our friend Fausto Lopez, so we're gonna mess with you. This was revenge, Donna found out that at least 88 police officers from 25 agencies had accessed her personal information using databases that are restricted to legitimate investigations. In the end, Donna ended up leaving South Florida, and it's funny because that's exactly the same thing that the police officer from James Craig, that's exactly the same thing he wanted. He wanted his ex-girlfriend to move out of Broward County, and he wanted her to give up her career, So these people did the same thing. They tried to ruin, the police officer Donna Jane Watts. They forced her to move out of Broward, pretty much. And so basically, it is undeniable that the police officer Donna Jane Watts, she was a victim of organized-stalking. She was a victim of covert harassment. And who was behind that secret operation? It is obvious, law enforcement. The police was behind that operation.